Hello, I know it's been a while, and I promised to send out a video about the new house and the project of turning that house into something habitable. No, we're not living in it yet, but we have bought it. We bought the new house about 3 weeks ago. It's new to us, but not new by any means. The house was built between 1900 and 1910, not exactly sure when, but so about 120 years old. It's what they call a terrace house. It's part of a row of houses. It's got, four bedrooms? Four bedrooms and one bath. It's fairly original. There's not a lot of modernization in it. That would be an understatement when you consider that it has never had central heating put in it. It has a bunch of fireplaces, and they're all there except one. One was torn out at some point. Probably the worst sort of disaster to befall the house is that somebody at some point put this material called Artex on the walls, which is a sort of textured substance which is made up of a kind of mulched cardboard or paper product with asbestos in it, and paint, and maybe even a little plaster thrown in as well. And it's just slopped on really grotesquely, and the end result is that it creates a textured surface. But if you have cracking plaster, it has a way of holding it together. In essence, what happens is the plaster stops cracking, or it completely falls off, one of the two. And in the case of this house, the ceiling of the drawing room fell off and has been replaced by just plain old, modern sheetrock. But it lost all the period elements in that room. So all the coving was lost, the ceiling rose was lost. But we can put those back up. So it's, in many ways, it's the easiest room to deal with. It has a bit of Artex on the walls, the texturing, but it's not as bad as the other rooms. The dining room's the worst. Not only does it have Artex all over the walls, it has it on the ceiling. That's just like really thick paint. It's been slathered all over the ceiling rose so that all the detail of the ceiling rose has been lost. So the only way to restore the ceiling rose is to remove it, which means destroy it, and replace it with a new one, or just leave it and live with it. The covings also have Artex all over it. And then on top of that, they painted gloss pink paint in that room. So it's kind of like you're in a room made of pork, raw pork or something. It's quite bizarre. But on the positive side, there's not a lot of modern elements shoved in. And that's why we like the house. When we bought it, we got a survey, and the survey said, yeah, it's not very modernized. There's not a lot of electrical outlets. It's been short on electrical outlets. We don't mind that. It has no boiler, no hot water tank. There's no central heating whatsoever. It has no sign of any cavity wall insulation. It has no roofing insulation. It has no insulation under the ground floor, which is suspended wood. And in the front bay windows, there is no double glazing. However, there's double glazing at the back of the house. And most of the windows and the sashes in the front bay and the rear bay are pretty badly, in a pretty bad condition. They haven't been painted in years. And so yeah, this house needs a lot of work, but it was cheap, and it's a nice neighborhood in Sunderland, which I don't know if Sunderland's a town or a city, but it used to be a huge shipbuilding and glassworks center. I think at one point something like 25% of the world's tonnage of commercial shipping was built in Sunderland. those days are long gone. There is still one heavy industry there, and that is a Nissan automobile plant. I don't think Liebherr is building anymore. They used to build big earth-moving machines up there, but I think they've stopped. I don't know if there's any glassworks left. But it's half an hour from Newcastle, and there is a metro rail between the two. So Sunderland is kind of a very good value bedroom community for people who work in Newcastle, want to live in an urban environment, but can't afford the higher costs of housing in Newcastle. And certainly for what we paid for this Edwardian townhouse, we would have paid at least double that, maybe 3 times as much for the same kind of house in a similar neighborhood in Newcastle. But yeah, so it's a house that needs a fair bit of work. The first thing that struck our attention was in the survey was that the roof, it said, was missing some slates, and some were a bit tilted, and that there was no moisture barrier underneath the slates. So in other words, the roof is original. The roof is 120 years old. And so we've had some roofing contractors come by and give us an estimate to fix, to do a quick fix, or to do the full on, strip it, replace timbers, put a new moisture barrier on, and then replace the slates, and another bid for just, can you just fix it? And it turns out that the cost of fix is not cheap, simply because you have to put scaffolding up, and scaffolding gets expensive, and yeah, it's already got sort of patches on top of patches, so it's time to get this roof done. And anybody who's ever had an old house knows that if of all the things that are wrong in a house, the roof always gets the highest priority, because without a good roof, there is no house. So we've got a guy who's recommended, who did our neighbor's house. And by the way, we have great neighbors on either side of us who have done up their houses beautifully. And so we have good inspiration and, sort of neighborly goals. We'd love to have our house turn out as nicely as theirs. So we have something to aim for. And they've recommended some tradespeople. So we've got Martin, who I refer to as Machine Gun Martin because he speaks very quickly with a very thick Geordie accent. And they're going to start, sadly they can't come out here and start the roof until October. So that means other jobs will get done first. So in this video, I've just put some photographs together, some from the real estate agency, so you can see what it looked like when we first saw it. And then other pictures are from when we first stepped inside and took a look. I shot some video, but it was so crap that I decided not to use it. But basically, it's we saw kind of what was illustrated, except for things like the bathroom was a bit worse than advertised. The kitchen was, well, many of you probably have larger closets than this kitchen, but that's not unusual for an Edwardian townhouse because they didn't eat in their kitchens. That's where the servants in a house like this would have worked, and it would have been one servant, and I probably wouldn't have lived there either. Anyways, we know there were servants in this house because there are servant calls in all the rooms, and there's a servant bell mechanism in the servants' part of the house. And hold on, Professor, you must be. Sorry about that. I knew that was going to happen sooner or later. And so there is a sort of console in the area next to the old kitchen, which we're going to making into it's like a breakfast room, and it's where I think the servants would have done their jobs, done their work when not in other parts of the house. And on the wall there is a servant's alarm, and you'll see pictures of it, and it works. it still works. There's a lot of infrastructural stuff that we have to do to the house. First of all the water pipes are lead, and they've all got to come out. And so that's one very large job. The other big job is that there's no central heating, so we got to put central heating in. And we have to rip out completely the bathroom, and the bathroom and the toilet room are separate, and those rooms have to be cleaned, completely ripped out and replaced, because we want to do a very sympathetic and light touch kind of a restoration of this house. So we are going to put a new central heating in there, but you won't really. What you will see will not look ultra modern. We're going to use old-fashioned radiators in all the rooms. All the plumbing will be hidden away. You will never see any of the plumbing. And one thing we did notice when we first looked at the house was that there was a lot of stuff that was sort of boxed in and flat, covered with like plywood encasements. First of all, the fireplaces were enclosed like that, but also the staircase and some of the walls were encased, and the doors were encased in plywood, or it was either plywood or MDF, really thin, like maybe 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch plywood. Anyways, so we want to kind of give her back her jewelry and give her back her look, and we don't want to add a lot of obvious modern changes at all. So first step is we got to remove all the rugs, all the carpets. All the carpets have to be torn up and got out of there. The second job is to rip out the bathroom and the toilet room. Rip up all the linoleum. There's old linseed and jute linoleum in some of the rooms, and expose the softwood floors, and expose hardwood floors as well. There's some bits of hardwood flooring in there that's in pretty dire shape, but we're going to expose all the wood flooring and get rid of all the carpet and all that, because originally it would have been exposed wooden floors with rugs and runners, and so that's what we're going to restore it to. Like I said, we're going to rip out all of the bathrooms and redo them in period correct style. The kitchen at the far back of the house, we're going to turn that room into a utility room. So that's where the boiler is going to go. That's where the washing machine will go, and it's also where the water cylinder, the water tank will go. As I said, boiler. There's a big push right these days to get air source heat pumps to be more eco. We would love to have done that, but the incentive program is so awful. you end up having to spend about 15 grand so you can save 5, and it's you have to come up with the 50 grand first, and that would have taken wiped out our budget right from the very beginning. So what we decided to do is something slightly different, and that is we're going to get a very high-tech and very highly efficient system boiler, and an even more high-tech domestic hot water cylinder called a Mixergy. So if you get a chance, do check it out on Mother Google. Look up Mixergy tank. It's a stratified water tank that you can control either on the control panel of the cylinder, or on the boiler, or on your phone. And it also has a bit of an AI function where it sort of watches how much hot water you use and when you use it, and it ensures that you always have just enough at any time that you would normally consume that water. And so the water tank may be, say, 200 liters in our case, but it may only heat the top 40 or 50 liters. And so we only need to, when we have guests or anything over, that's when we would have it heat a greater percentage of the tank. But otherwise, it's just enough for us to. So the energy efficient, high tech, but hidden away in the very back of the house, in what used to be the kitchen and now will be the utility room. That water tank also has it has two coils. One through which it heats the domestic hot water. One of those coils is obviously heated by the boiler. The other one, which is lower down in the tank, is there to be heated by solar thermal. And if we don't blow the budget, and there's a lot of risk to the budget because there are so many jobs, we're going to heat it with solar thermal. So we're going to put a couple of arrays. It'll be about 3 square meters, not big, but big enough of evacuated tube solar thermal. And that will probably supply about 50% of our annual energy budget required to heat our domestic hot water. So it's a substantial savings. Fortunately, the building was rewired in 2009, and we know that because Phil, who did the work, left a little note saying so under one of the floorboards, which is great. So we've got to replumb all the domestic, all the domestic water, hot and cold, because all those pipes were lead, and then we've got to plumb in the water heating system. We're going to replace all of the bathroom fixtures and the kitchen fixtures, and get those back to a kind of original Edwardian look and feel. We are going to move what would have been in the kitchen into the breakfast room, which will become our kitchen. We are removing all of the old electric and gas fires that sat throughout the house. Those have all been disconnected and removed. The gas main has been removed because we're getting a new one put in on the 7th. And this house, as everything was boxed in, like I mentioned earlier, while doing the heavy labor of cutting up the carpet and pulling it up out of the floor and prying up the tack strip, I like to kind of give myself some little treat tasks. So it's like, God, I've been working on this carpeting and my back's sore. I think I will go do something fun. And one of the first fun things that I did was I went to the staircase, and all the handrail was just a plain boxed in white painted thing. And I thought, I bet there's something underneath all this plywood. I think there's something under here. And sure enough, I pried it off, and I pried one panel off and looked inside, and here is this beautifully carved newel post, original to the building from 1900 to 1910. So I pried all of that boxing off the stairs, and it has exposed all of the spindles and the handrail, the original newel posts, everything. And then I've done the same with all the fireplaces, and like I said, one's been removed entirely, but the rest of them were just a combination of being boxed in and painted with really thick, sloppy splashes of Artex. And I managed to get all of the boxing off, and lots of cast iron and tile, Edwardian coal circulator type fireplaces, and surrounded in most cases in the dining room, I think it is, or no, in the master bedroom, and I think in all the bedrooms but one, the fireplaces are, in fact, all the bedrooms are red granite surrounds, and the dining room is solid slate. But polished black, ebony black slate. And then in the drawing room or the living room, it's white marble. It's pure white marble, and they painted over it. I, I don't understand. I don't understand why people do stuff like that. But hey, oh, tastes change over time, and people, they thought they were doing something that was modernizing it, and refreshing the look of the house, I suppose. But oh man, but it's been nice because peeling those things back, it's like she's had a lot of her best features covered for years. And when I peeled one of the openings of the fireplace in the master bedroom, this board fell back. It was very heavy. It's kind of like sheetrock, but much heavier. And on the inside were glued or pasted a bunch of newspapers, and they all date from December 27th, 1933. So now we know when the fireplaces were closed up. Was December 27th, or shortly thereafter, 1933. And anyway, so it's nice to get those open. I've done nothing to restore them yet or anything like that. What you're going to see in this video is photographs of, well, first of all, there's a floor plan, and then little 5-second or 7-second clips of pictures from the different rooms as given to us by the estate agent. And then following that are pictures that we took shortly after getting to the house. And that's all we're going to put in this one. It's taken me a while to do this, and I need to get this out to you guys, because a lot of people want to know what the house looks like. And the next one, I'll catch you up a bit more to where we are now, and that is that almost all the carpet is gone. Sadly, it's piled up in places, and we have to hire a skip so we can get it out. But floorboards are torn up, and a lot of the plumbing, the new plumbing is going in already. That's both heating and domestic hot and cold water. And lots of little things have been exposed by removing paneling and whatnot, and it's quite cool to see. And you can start to get a hint of what it's going to look like. I can, anyways. It takes a lot of imagination because it does look pretty dire at the moment. But it's a building site. It's not habitable. There's no means to cook anything. There's no gas in the house because the gas pipes leaked like crazy, so that was shut off by British Gas. And like I said, on the 7th we have a new main going in, and it will only go back to the boiler. We have a new cooker to put in, new to us, it's used. That's going to go in when we've got the floor more arranged and we have the wherewithal to run a kitchen in the house. But the first priority is we are going to get the plumbing in up to the bathrooms, and the bathroom and the toilet, and then we're going to rip out the sink and the toilet. I've already ripped out the shower, and we're going to replace it with Edwardian period appliances, bathroom appliances, toilet and sinks, and clawfoot tub with shower. And once we get the bathroom in, we're going to then hopefully have enough clear space in the new kitchen to bring the cooker over. But we probably won't move in until the floorboards are all back down after having installed all the radiators and got the plumbing done. Now, we can't also put the floorboards down on the ground floor because we're going to insulate under that floor, and that's going to be a big job. So first we have to put the plumbing in, we have to test the plumbing, pressure test it, make sure there's no leaks and all the plumbing's fine, and only then can we put the insulation in. Once the insulation is in, then we can close up the floor, and once we close up the floor, we can sand the floor, and once the floor is sanded and the dust has dissipated, then we can probably think about moving in. So to be honest, I think right now, today is the, what is it, 29th of May, and I think August is a realistic time for us to move in. There's a lot to do between now and then. And then, like I said, the roof can't be replaced until October, and we won't be able to put any insulation up in the loft until after they finish the roof, obviously. Other jobs I'm going to replace all the sash window, the panes, the single pane glass, with sealed double glazed units. So that means me removing all of the old sashes, and then routing them out so they can accommodate sealed glazing units, and then put them back in and have to increase the weights because of course the sashes will weigh more and blah blah blah. But yeah, there are some big jobs ahead, but I'm looking forward to it. I gotta say, having been there now, I'm getting pretty good sleeps at night because I'm exhausted. I go there and I work about 4 to 5 hours a day. Then I come back and I order all the bits online that I need for the next day or the day after, pick them up in the shop on the way in, and also doing stuff like this. This is the time for me to do that. Shower up, of course, and then get ready for the next day. Anyways, this is a really long-winded thing. I'm sorry about this, but I just needed to kind of get this all out there so you kind of see the lay of the land. I'm not going to say, oh, this is the kitchen, or oh, this is the bedroom, or whatnot like that, but you can kind of see it, or the order in which the images appear is from the front door, going to the back door, and then going upstairs from the back to the front. And I can, what I'll do is, in this next video, I'll actually take you on a video walkthrough, which I tried doing before and did a miserable job of it, but I will do a walkthrough with the video camera next time, and so you'll see a big change, because it looks very different than the photographs that you'll see in this video. Anyways, enjoy, if that's possible, and let me know in the comments what you think, or ask questions, and I will see you again in the next video that I do, which will probably be, I hope to do it in a week, so let's say 2. Alright, see you later.